Azelf, the willpower Pokemon. When Azelf flew, people gained the determination to do things. It was the birth of willpower. Azelf has a great ability and a really beneficial stat spread. Back in the 4th generation, it was one of the most consistent and scary lead Pokemon in the game. However, mechanics of the generation switch were not kind to Azelf, and now that your team can be seen and your opponents can react to your leads, Azelf has lost some of its elite status. That being said, Azelf still has a great offensive stat distribution and is a very reliable offensive user of Stealth Rock. Azelf's former glory came from abusing a hyper-offensive Stealth Rock set. Azelf's high speed and access to taunt make it one of the most consistent ways to get rocks out there while protecting yourself from having Stealth Rocks set up on you as well. The other moves are largely filler. Explosion works well off Azelf's high natural attack stat. Though Explosion isn't nearly as powerful as it used to be, it can still hit your opponent hard and land a surprise knockout. Your fire move of choice helps cover the many steals that would resist and survive Explosion, and U-turn can be added for beneficial switches and more residual damage. This set isn't nearly as useful as it used to be, thanks to both the team preview and the nerf to Explosion, but it still has some novelty and can allow you to get an early set of Stealth Rocks on your opponent's side of the field. As a Psychic type, Azelf has access to fun support options like dual screens. This set tends to function better when used on an Espeon, but Azelf finds a niche with it because of its access to Stealth Rock. When using this set, take advantage of Azelf's offense so that you don't find yourself with an inferior build of a support Uxie. Uxie learns all the same moves and is much more defensive, so if you want to build a tank Azelf, you're better off just using Uxie instead. Unlike Uxie though, Azelf can hit very hard with Explosion or U-turn, so using these moves to allow yourself to get free switches and high damage can help differentiate the two legendary pixies. Arguably, Azelf's most useful set in the 5th generation looks to take advantage of its high speed and special attack. If you don't want a setup sweeper, slap U-turn on Azelf and abuse it for residual damage until you can find yourself a favorable matchup. Otherwise, send this set out on something that doesn't threaten it and boost up. Azelf has a diverse enough moveset to cover almost all of its bases. Your psychic attack of choice is the obligatory stab, and it's complemented well by a strong fire attack for steals that want to resist it. Your final attack depends on what Azelf needs to get rid of. Energy Ball is best for unaware Quagsire that would negate any boosts from Nasty Plot. Signal Beam is for Psychics and Darks that want to ruin your day, or Hidden Power Fighting can be used to squelch Tyranitar that could threaten Azelf with a Mighty Pursuit. If you don't want a special attacker, Azelf's physical attack stat is just as mighty. Choice Band Azelf can take advantage of opponents who expect a strong special set. The attacks here are pretty standard coverage. The 4th move is Personal Preference. Fully invested in attack and with a Choice Band, U-turn can actually cause a pretty big dent, unlike the previous sets. However, Trick is always helpful in a choice user to help cripple an opponent's wall and make them unable to switch attacks. Unfortunately, because it doesn't have access to Swords Dance, and because its physical attacks have lower base power than its special attacks, this set is largely outclassed by the special set. More than anything, this set seeks to take advantage of wrong guesses by your opponent that lead to favorable matchups for you. As a strong, frail sweeper, Azelf is susceptible to strong priority users. Additionally, its psychic typing leaves it especially vulnerable to pursuit users. Trying to switch during a pursuit will keep you trapped if it doesn't knock you out immediately, but keeping Azelf in to try to rack up damage can result in a lost Azelf anyway. The best way to mitigate the threat of these Pokemon is to beat them before you send out Azelf in the first place. Though Team Preview hampered Azelf's usage overall, it can still be used to help keep it safe against these threats. Other than that, the best way to counter Azelf is to find out its set first. Because it has so many options, trying to wall it with an unbalanced wall like Skarmory or Blissey might end up in a lost wall. Generic walls like Dusclops and Jellicent would work well due to their immunity to Explosion, provided Azelf isn't carrying Shadow Ball. Though they also fear Shadow Ball as well as Signal Beam, Reuniclus, Slowbro, and Slowking can use their natural toughness and thwart any Azelf sweep with a timely Thunder Wave or Trick Room. If Azelf carries Taunt or Trick, though, these walls will need to be careful that they don't become crippled themselves. Heatran is probably the ideal counter to all sets, resisting Psychic, Explosion, and U-Turn, and being immune to Azelf's fire attacks. Because Azelf has such a diverse move pool, it can fit onto basically any team. Its stat distribution allows it to succeed as a special sweeper, physical sweeper, mixed sweeper, or even a fast supporter. If you have a need for any of these, while still disguising as all of them, Azelf can be a good choice. If you're looking for more specific teammates, Azelf's biggest weakness is its vulnerability to Pursuit. A Lucario or Scizor of your own can counter Tyrannitars or Weaviles that might ruin an Azelf sweep. Countering opposing Scizors is a slightly bigger challenge. Heatran or bulky water types help out with this. Azelf's best partner is probably Conkeldurr. Its natural defenses complement Azelf's offensive side quite well, and Conkeldurr can manhandle just about any Pursuit user with a mighty Mach Punch. Infernape is another good choice for the same reason, although it differs in its ability to maim Scizor with its stab fire attacks. Azelf's flexibility and stats make it very scary the first time you see it in battle. It can run a number of sets, so the only way you can reliably counter it is to know what it's built for. As a quick and offensive Stealth Rock user, it can support your team while still dishing out powerful attacks. Plus, with Nasty Plot and Stab Psyshock, it can boost up and run through teams that aren't prepared to counter it. Its small, cute appearance betrays its frailty, though, so you will need to protect it if you want to get the most out of it. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for any future videos, leave them in the comments below. If you are interested in participating in our online Pokemon League, click the link in the description for more information.